Hi, my name is Sanjay Kidambi. I do product marketing for Microsoft Security, Compliance, and Identity Solutions. I'm here with Laurie Litvak, who is one of our product leaders. Together, we welcome you to our session on how to take charge of data governance across your digital landscape. With the pandemic fast-tracking remote work and the continued proliferation of data, companies need to adapt data governance strategies. In this session, you will learn how to use Azure Purview and Microsoft Information Protection across your digital estate. Stay tuned until the end to see our powerful product demo. Let's start where you, as our customers, start, in the sprawling world of data. Industry research in this space tells us that we are looking at never-before-seen volume, velocity, and variety of data. But also that today, organizations have a hard time putting that data to work to generate value. How many of you can say with confidence, you know what your data is, where your data is, and what your risk exposure looks like? When we engage with customers, we hear loud and clear about the need for comprehensive data governance solution. Microsoft's North Star for our information protection and governance solution has always been to provide our customers with a rich set of capabilities to know, protect, prevent loss, and govern their data wherever it lives. Whether it's on premises or in multiple cloud locations, whether it's their productivity data in files like Office documents and PDFs and emails, or it's their analytical and operational data in relational databases. Some of you might be familiar with our compliance and risk management solution portfolio, and you can see here what that portfolio looks like. So far, you've used our underlying products like Microsoft Information Protection and our portal experience, Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, to know, protect, and govern your productivity data in files like Office documents and PDFs and emails across a set of locations, from Microsoft 365 services like SharePoint to Teams, third-party cloud services like Box, to on-premises file shares and SharePoint on-prem. Now, with the launch of Azure Purview as of December 2020, we have expanded your ability as our customers to know, protect, and govern your data in a consistent way across data types, covering both productivity data in documents and your operational analytical data in relational databases across a broad set of locations, including Azure Data Storage, AWS, SQL Server, Teradata, SAP. With that, let me turn it over to Laurie, our product lead, to share with you how Microsoft is reimagining data governance with Azure Purview. She will specifically call out, for those of you who are already using Microsoft Information Protection and the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, on how you can leverage your existing investments to get more value from Azure Purview.
Thank you, Sanjay. As you shared with us, the data landscape is growing and customers have shared their challenges with that sprawl. As the Charter of Chief Data Officers has expanded from digital transformation to making data discoverable and maximizing the value of that data, they know that there's growing risk in all that data, right? So Chief Data Officers must understand and work with others to figure out what data exists, what is there out there, and how it becomes compliant. So they must work across discipline with security and compliance to ensure that risks are managed. Questions range from what data do I have, where did it come from, all the way to what is the exposure that I have in that risk, how do I control access and usage. So it makes sense that well-managed data sets are easier to secure and keep compliant. And when security and compliance are integrated with data governance, working across disciplines, they become an enabler for business value rather than a speed bump on a customer's digital journey. As organizations embark on that digital transformation, data governance is key to success. So, what are the dimensions of that success? Well, from IoT devices to operational and analytical data, as you migrate and modernize, data is everywhere, right? It just keeps growing from on-premise to cloud services to third-party clouds. It's spread across data sources, and of course, operational silos and business units have their own areas. Another challenge is how to empower users to take data-driven decisions, to create that data culture, creating a broad set of data consumers who need access to that data to enable digital and data agility. But when they get access to it, they need to do so within regulatory boundaries and fulfill the requirements. And of course, that data is your prize asset, and you need to make sure that security is enabled as part of your data governance. So with that, we introduce Azure Purview. Let's talk about how Azure Purview helps you reimagine data governance in a cloud-native, purpose-built service to address discovery and compliance needs. So what do our customers do today? Well, customers have now is generally manual, homegrown, or custom solutions that don't adapt well to growing data environments. They're hugely costly and often have gaps in data types, gaps in data sources as you add new sources online. What we want to enable is to allow you to manage and govern operational, transactional, and analytical data in a fully managed serverless PaaS service, thus eliminating those manual ad hoc homegrown solutions. We also want to make sure that you can scale as your data grows, your business usage grows, and your regulatory compliance grow by automating that discovery of data in on-premise, multi-cloud, and SaaS services. We allow you to classify data at scale, to specify sensitivity, compliance, industry, business, and company-specific values. We allow you to know where your data came from and what it's derived from with data lineage. And to maximize your business value, we connect business and technical data analysts, scientists, data engineers to a trusted data catalog, enabling your users to quickly find data and view its lineage and sensitivity with a curated, consistent glossary of business terms and definitions. And lastly, my favorite part is that you get to gain insights. Understand at a glance how data is being created and used across your data estate. You get to visually assess the state of your data estate, the scanning, the glossary, the sensitive data, really adding value to that overview and governance. So how do we achieve this? Azure Purview achieves all of this by creating a rich, unified data map. The data map is the heart of Purview. It automates the extraction of metadata and manages that metadata at scale across your multi-cloud, your hybrid data estate. Then you can apply classifications to the data, quantifying, qualifying its business value using as many as 100 out-of-the-box classifiers, Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels, and custom classifiers. Further, the data map also understands data as it relates to each other and captures end-to-end data lineage. Building on top of the data map are two main solutions, Data Catalog and Data Insight, each adding strong value to different parts of your organization. The Data Catalog enables data consumers to find trustworthy, valuable data using an intuitive search or browse experience. Within this experience, data stewards can standardize business terms and definitions with the help of a business glossary tuned to your environment. And Data Insights provides chief data officers and security and compliance teams with a bird's eye view into their data estate. With the help of these reports, customers can now view and drill down on data usage, sensitivity across their environment and across their data consumers. As Sanjay mentioned, Purview is now in public preview. So, what are customers telling us? After working with our Azure Purview service, we hear customers like Andrew Eisenman at Heathrow tell us they see Purview helping them with their challenges and offering strong business impact for their users and analysts. With Purview, they could see the way forward to govern their expanding data estate. Okay, now my favorite part. It's time to take a tour of Microsoft 365 Compliance Center and Azure Purview. Let's get started. All right, here we are in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. We're in Information Protection, and we can see that we have a label hierarchy set up. Also, we can see that the secret label has been defined, and we'll take a look at it. Here we'll go Edit Label, and we get to see a little bit more about it. So this is the standard Microsoft 365 Compliance Center label creation. You get the name, the display name, the description for users, and let's go to the next one. Here, we define the scope for this label. And in the past, we had files and emails and groups and sites. Now, we have Azure Purview Assets. Though this is the addition, the ability to extend the value of these labels to assets in Azure Purview, including the SQL columns and files in blob storage and ADLS Gen 2, etc. This is really the ease of adding Azure Purview to target these sensitivity labels. Let's keep going in the definition of this label. We can see the protection settings. All of this is what has been in the label definition already. Encryption and auto-labeling for files and emails. So here I want to just point out, even though this already existed before the addition of Purview, that we have defined that a sensitive information type, if we find a credit card number, any one or more, we're going to auto-label this file or this email with a secret label. Let's continue. What is new here is that we can do the same thing for database columns. So here we have defined that if the content contains a sensitive information type credit card number, we will apply this label to Azure database columns, whether it's in SQL, Synapse, Azure SQL, etc., so that we have this consistency of sensitivity labeling applied for database columns. With this simple addition to our existing sensitivity label, we've extended the value of your sensitivity labels from Microsoft 365 into Azure Purview. Keep that in mind, and now let's switch over to take a tour of Azure Purview. Here we are in Azure Purview on the home page. So it gives us a number of things to try out, and I'll take you on a little tour here. At the top, we can see the number of sources that we have onboarded and that we've done some scanning and found 13,000 assets. One of our data scientists has added 113 glossary terms to this Purview account. Directly from here, I can search into those data sources and those assets directly into the catalog. We can see we have a knowledge center to learn more, a way to register new sources, because this is how you keep growing the information and creating that rich data map I talked about. You can browse the assets that you've already found, or you can add more glossary terms into your glossary. Over here on the left navigation side, we have the home where we are, the sources we're about to go to, more information on the glossary terms, and insights where we get that bird's eye view on all the what we have found in our data estate. Of course, the Management Center contains the way to do a number of scanning and set up credentials and things like that. So let's go where you would start, which is to create and onboard new sources. What we have here is a way to view the data sources that are already onboarded to Purview across regions and across clouds. So at the top here, my very top collection is my whole Purview demo. But within that, I can specify a collection that's all related to the data assets in a particular geographic region. Here I have EMEA, and over on the other side, I've chosen to have a North America collection. Within that geographic location, I can then say particular business unit data is all grouped together, from the HR department to sales to finance to IT. This allows me to get a consistent view across my organization, no matter what type of data I'm talking about or where it actually may live, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud, in Azure, in a multi-cloud. So that's pretty cool. I'll scroll down and you can take a look at the range of data sources that we have onboarded here, all in the same way. So we can say, I have some ADLS Gen 2. I may have an on-premise SQL server or a blob storage. And look, we can even onboard AWS accounts to pull in information across their S3 accounts. This is new. Since public preview in December, we have added this and we are announcing support for AWS S3 accounts here at Ignite. Going further, you can see that we also have Power BI tenants onboarded, a whole range of data that is valuable for me to see that starts to allow me to answer the question, where is my data and what is my data? All right, so let's take a look at a particular data source. we have blob storage here. Let's click the details. Because once I've onboarded that data source, I want to make sure that I start scanning. So here on the information in the detail page for this blob storage, I can see I've set up 2 scans. They have both run successfully. It tells me the last scan time. And it has found within that blob storage 198 assets, of which 190 are classified. Well, that's good to know. I'll take a look at one of those scans and see that it's been run once, and it was only run manually. So I now know that there's classified data in here, and I want to set up a scan that will run frequently. So let me go and edit the scan. Here I have a credential with an MSI, so I don't have to have a SAS key or anything like that. That is allowing me to connect to that data source. Let me continue. And within here, I can even choose how much of this blob storage I want to scan. And if there's subsections of it, I could choose to scan only part of it. But really, I want to scan all of it. So let's continue. Scan rule sets allow me to say which are the supported file types that I want to extract and classify. And for this storage, we have a system default, which is all the supported file types. We can choose to see the detail here, which are all the classifications, rules that are going to run, and all the file types that we're going to scan. Okay. So if I wanted to create a subset, I only wanted to scan for PDFs or other file types, I could create a rule set that was different from the system default. Let's continue. Now, of course, recurrence is really important to me. So I have set it up to be recurring. Do I want it every month to run on weekdays on the first Monday? Great. Or I could say that I want to do it on every Tuesday and starting at a particular time that was useful to me, meaning that it was a low business usage time for that data. Excellent. So now I have set my scan to be recurring and review it. I save it, and now I'm comfortable and confident that new data coming into that blob storage will be scanned, and I will be notified, or I will have the information about what is in my blob storage. So once we have scanned data, we deliver a rich set of insights for business users. Let's take a look. We start here with assets. This shows me the range of assets that I have onboarded into my Purview account. From Synapse Analytics, Blob Storage, Power BI, SQL. This is SQL on-premise. And this is our AWS S3 accounts. And I've got a lot of data in my ADLS Gen 2. All right, from assets, let's take a look at the classifications we found in our scans. Here we have information about the sources, files, and tables that have been classified. So overall, we have 4 subscriptions that have classified data in it. 84 different types of unique classifications were found across 7 sources, and a whole bunch of files and 5 tables had classifications found. You can see in this overview page the top sources that contained classified data in the last 30 days, as well as the top categories of classifications. So let's scroll down a little bit and find top classifications for files versus tables. You can see here the count of files was about 3K of these files had EU national identification numbers in it. A lot of our files had credit card numbers in it. How about classifications for tables? Social security numbers were prevalent, email address, names, phone numbers, and 1 table that had a credit card. All right, let's get more information by drilling down into our classifications. Here we get to see the classifications that were found across all of our data types. And these out-of-the-box classifiers are shared with Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, so you get consistent classification across M365 and Purview assets. Now, we were interested in finding out where credit card information is found in our data estate. So start by choosing credit card. And getting just the credit card information. We can see it's part of our financial category. It was found in 4 subscriptions, 6 different sources, 2,500 files in 1 table. So if I want more information, if I'm looking for something in particular, I can go directly here and choose to browse the assets. And this will take me into the data catalog. Here are the data assets within the storage types that contain credit card info. We could filter further by using these properties on the left, or we could drill into a particular file. So let's take a look at card holder to find out what we've got. All right, so we'll take a look at credit card transaction log. And we'll get information on this particular file. So we went from the larger view of all of the classification types to all of the files and tables that had credit card data directly into the data catalog to be able to hone in on one particular file. And what do we see here in these asset details? It shows us that the credit card classification was found, great, and a sensitivity label of secret was applied. That reminds us that we had created a sensitivity label of secret in Microsoft Compliance Center, and we have applied it directly to this file automatically based on the file containing a credit card number. So again, we have the ability to auto-label in Microsoft 365 as well as across Purview assets. What other information do we have? Well, if we've connected up, we would have lineage, but we could also add a particular owner for this file so that if there was something about it that I needed more information, that we would have owner information. All right. Let's go back to these results. And we can see here that we can search on label. So if we search on label, we see that 212 assets have the secret label attached. We can see all the assets with that sensitivity label directly here in the data catalog. But what I really care about is where across, at an overview, a high level, where is my sensitivity label information? So let's go back to Sensitivity Labels Insights. And here is our overview information about sensitivity labels. We can see that there have been sources that have labeled data over the past 30 days, 4 subscriptions, 4 unique labels, 7 sources labeled, many files, and 5 tables. Right? The top labels here are Purview Demo Secret, Highly Confidential, and Purview Demo LT. So in Purview, we integrated Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels so customers can see not only the classifications found, but of course the sensitivity labels that have been applied across their data estate. Again, expanding the value of their investment in labels. All right, that was great. Let's recap what we saw. First, we have a coherent view of the data estate to help answer the question, where is my data? Even what is my data? What a great way to see all my data sources from Azure to on-premise to AWS 3, which we just announced this week at Ignite. Next, we saw how easy it is for users and admins to search for data across that data estate, to find the right data, where it came from, how it's classified, or find the owners of that data. And of course, that great bird's eye view of your data estate and the sensitive data we've scanned and classified now made available to you. Of course, we work hard to have our solutions work better together for you. From a data compliance standpoint, you get additional value using Purview in conjunction with Microsoft Information Protection. You can now get broad coverage, automatically classifying sensitive data consistently in Azure Data Sources, SQL Server on-prem, in addition to Microsoft 365 cloud services like SharePoint, third-party cloud services like Box, on-premise file shares, SharePoint servers. As well, you get to achieve consistency in classification and sensitivity labeling. Define your labels once and apply them across clouds. And of course, you get insights into sensitive data across more data sources and locations. Just like Microsoft 365 Compliance Center will show you the most common sensitive information types you have and the sensitivity labels applied, where they're located, and enable you to search and find content that have those classifications and labels. Azure Purview allows you to do the same across your operational and analytical data. So while Purview can help organizations manage their hybrid data estate, Purview is designed to unlock a one Microsoft value for you. And in order to promote the adoption of Azure Purview, during public preview, customers can take advantage of these three amazing offers. First, we offer free scanning of your on-premise SQL servers. Who has lots of SQL Server data that they don't know what's in there? Second, we offer free scanning of your Power BI tenants. And last, of course, this better together, we offer free sensitivity labeling of Purview assets for Microsoft 365 E5 customers. So with all these great offers, what are you waiting for? Take the next step. Do you have Microsoft 365 E5 compliance? If not, start your trial today. Are you ready to try out Azure Purview in public preview? We have a starter kit and resources ready for you now. On behalf of Sanjay, myself, and our teams, we invite you to get started on your data governance journey.